Testing. David. Adonai roi lo exar. Bino desher bitzeini al mei menuchot yenhaleini. Nafshi yeshovev yanecheni b'makli tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elek v'geitz al mavet lo yidara ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishanetecha hema yenachamuni. Taharoch lefanei shulchan neged zorerai. Dishan tavashem en roshi kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yedefuni kol yemei chayai. Veshaveti bebeit Adonai leorech yamim. The 23rd Psalm, a Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. So we are all gathered here this afternoon, sadly to say goodbye to Beverly Nord of blessed memory. Bat Sheva, Bat Abraham Vesara, Zichrona Livracha. The daughter of Henry and Margaret Smith of blessed memory. The wife of the late Gilbert Patrick Nord of blessed memory. The sister of Brenda and Tom Tolman, Holly Poholko and Alexander Dimitrisian. The mother of Kelly and Jocelyn Nord, Carla and Len Istow, Wesley Nord, Kirsten and Michael Urbanovich, and Eric and Ada Norquist. The grandmother, Michaela Connor Harrison and Caridwen. Beverly passed away tragically July 21st at the age of 73. Now, imagine this scene. A gentleman, along in years, sits in the porch of his house on a warm summer day. The sun is high in the sky. Perhaps the man, drowsy with the afternoon heat, begins to close his eyes for a brief nap. But a noise surprises him. He looks up. A car coming down the road stops, and 3 men climb out. Clearly lost and in need of direction, they look around before seeing the man on the porch. What happens next? In our don't talk to strangers society, it is possible to imagine the old man already reaching for his cell phone, ready to dial 911. Popular culture has cued us to suspect that this man clearly poses an imminent danger to the man. At the very least, he should retreat into his house and lock the door. But what does he do? He runs from his porch to the street and he greets them warmly. Not only that, he invites them into his house and has his wife provide food for them. While I presented this story in a modern setting, this is exactly what Avraham Avinu, our patriarch Abraham, and his wife Sarah did in welcoming 3 strangers into their tent thousands of years ago. Despite that he was recovering from his circumcision, Abraham did not sit passively while the men approached. He ran to them as if anxious to demonstrate his hospitality toward them. Likewise, in an attempt to save Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham Avinu challenged God. And for what purpose? To try and find a peaceful and righteous solution to save a community to which he did not even belong. To help to perform chesed, loving kindness. In performing these acts of chesed, Abraham and Sarah demonstrated by example how we are to behave in this world, how loving kindness is to infuse our actions and behavior each day of our lives. The rabbis said, a day that a Jew does not do a kindness is not considered a day in his or her life. Such a sentiment suggests that, like Abraham and Sarah, it is not enough to passively not do the wrong thing. Rather, it is necessary to proactively seek out opportunities to do the right thing. That is, we are not to sit before our tents until strangers come to us, but we are to run from before our tents to find ways to show our loving kindness. It is, after all, as essential to Jewish life as eating kosher or praying in a synagogue. We are to emulate our patriarchs, Abraham and Sarah. Beverly Nord was a faithful disciple of Abraham and Sarah. And in her case, we can say that she was literally a daughter of Abraham and Sarah, because when someone converts to Judaism, he or she is considered a son or a daughter of Abraham and Sarah. Beverly wasn't born Jewish. She was a Jew by choice. Well, this is something that most people try to hide. For Beverly, it was something that made her proud. She thought about herself that she was always meant to be a person of the book. Rabbis say that all converts were present at Mount Sinai too, receiving Torah and establishing their roots with God. Beverly was 16 when she had her first child, and when she was in her 20s, she already had all her 5 children. Then she got divorced and became a single mom. When she was in her 30s, after a few years of soul searching, she discovered Judaism and her new faith. Shaare Zedek Synagogue gave her the strength to move forward and to have not just a beautiful family, but also a successful career. Her love for Judaism encouraged her to attend synagogue every week, studying the writings of the rabbis at Torah L'Chaim, our weekly Bible classes, where she will actively participate in the discussions. And of course, she was a member of the L'Chaim Club, where she enjoyed a toast with scotch or rye every week after services. Beverly took her conversion very seriously. She learned Hebrew, and she even went to study how to read from the Torah using the traditional trope with Rabbi Matthew Leibel. This is something extremely difficult. Just remember that a bar mitzvah, for example, while attending a Hebrew school, needs about a year to be ready to read from the Torah. Beverly did it as an adult, which is far more difficult. And she didn't do it just once, but many times, most recently within the last few weeks. She also learned how to weave a talit, a prayer shawl, and how to tie the tzitzit, a very complex technique that has been preserved for thousands of years. And she didn't keep all that knowledge to herself. She was always ready to volunteer and help others who needed help weaving their own talesim and tying their own tzitzit. Despite her strong connection with the synagogue and Judaism, Beverly never forgot her extended family and kept cooking them meals for big family Christmas gatherings. She enjoyed planning the meals and looked forward to celebrating holidays with family and loved ones. This meant the world to her. Beverly's kindness and gentle nature was legendary and extended not just to people, but also to animals. Our rabbis teach that while our teacher Moses was tending the flock of Jethro in the wilderness, a little lamb ran away from him. He ran after the lamb until the lamb came upon a body of water and began to drink. When Moses reached the lamb, he said to the lamb, "I didn't know that you were running because you were thirsty. You must be tired." So Moses placed the lamb on his shoulder and began to walk. The Holy One, blessed be He, said, "You are compassionate in leading flocks belonging to mortals. I swear to you, you will similarly shepherd my flock, Israel." Animals are part of God's creation, and people are given special responsibilities toward them. The Jewish tradition clearly indicates that we are forbidden to be cruel to animals and that we are to treat them with compassion. These concepts are summarized in the Hebrew phrase, Tsa'ar Ba'alei Chaim, the biblical mandate not to cause pain in any living creature. This Torah-based teaching is found in all levels of Jewish text and history and occupies a central place in Jewish ethical practice. For example, Psalm 104 picture God as giving drink to every beast of the field and causing grass to spring up for the cattle. Beverly embraced the commandment of taking care of the animals and one of the most important goals of her life. The only reason why she didn't have more than 3 dogs is because she didn't want to do something illegal. Beverly always tried to rescue dogs that other people didn't want. As an example, for the last few years, she lived with 3 dogs, Jazzy, Malibu, and Hector. One is deaf, one has anxiety disorder, and one has no teeth. And by the way, all 3 dogs have already found another home. That speaks perfectly about Beverly's kind character. Personally, I have the privilege to say that I knew her. She ushered in the new year with our family and shared our Passover table every year. Treated us with her wonderful cooking multiple times. Pierogies, kasha-baked cabbage rolls, and roasted tomatoes were staple for our gathering and source of comfort when any of us were feeling less than perfect. She also blessed us by making some of her famous Afghans for us. We have one that she began the moment she heard my wife was expecting with her son. Another she made for him when he moved from his crib to his big boy bed. Another she made for all of us when we moved into our new home. And a second one for my wife, just because she wanted to make one in her favorite color. She was in the midst of creating one just for me. This was her way of loving us and surrounding us with her unique nature. We all treasure these precious gifts as we know that she needed her love into them. She gave of herself in so many ways, her cooking, her Afghans, her time, and many evenings when I was working. she will go to my house just to dance with my son Ronen. She was truly a part of our family. She shared a close friendship with my mother-in-law, and they enjoyed going to the theater together. My wife was so excited when Beverly finally got a smartphone and discovered the wonderful world of texting. They would spend hours on the phone texting each other stories and became even closer in these ways. We have heard from many expressing their shock and sorrow to hear of her passing. She was seen as a gentle, sincere soul by all who met her. What is also wonderful is that for those of us who knew her well, we got to see the amazing sense of humor that she had. She brought light to all of us. We were blessed to have her in our lives. She will be missed greatly, but she will always be with us. And I could continue for a long time, but instead, I will give others the opportunity to share, and I will turn it over now to the president of our congregation, Lorne Weiss.
Thank you, Rabbi. I've had the honor of knowing Beverly Nord for approximately 18 years. We were lucky. Beverly chose Judaism and chose Sherry Zedek, to put it in her words, as her second home. Paulette and I first met her when we were part of a chavurah led by Rabbi Green, shortly after he arrived at Sherry Zedek. We would meet at different homes every few weeks to socialize, study, and learn together. All of us are complex beings. Often, who we are depends on where we are, who we are with, and what we are doing. Everyone that you'll hear from today will have a little different insight into our friend Beverly. Beverly was a special person. She was outgoing and caring, but also at the same time, she was a very private person. Today, I'm going to speak about the Beverly that I knew, the Sherry Zedek Beverly. Let me begin by saying that Beverly never just mailed it in. When she committed to something, it was a commitment to excellence. Beverly Nord took her commitments seriously through her volunteer activities and our participation, many times leading portions of our service. As an active member of the sisterhood, Beverly represented the organization many Saturdays, right where I'm standing. Whenever there was a bar or a bat mitzvah, on behalf of the sisterhood, Beverly would bring greetings and some gifts to the young person and their families from the sisterhood and the congregation. For these kids, it was a culmination of a fairly rigorous program of education and skill building of over a year in length. As you know, not all children are the same or have the same strengths. Some were outstanding, and some a little less. But when Beverly stood right here with the youngster right beside her and her parents watching from the first row, she always found words of congratulation and praise for their performance. And by the time she was done, that young boy or girl felt like they had just won a gold medal at the Olympics, and the parents felt like their child had just won a Nobel Prize. Beverly always had time for those who needed to talk to her, needed to be heard, needed to be listened to, whether it was related to health, personal issues, or just loneliness. Our rabbis teach us that the greatest mitzvah, a good deed, one can perform is one where the recipient doesn't know the source or cannot thank the one who has performed the mitzvah. Beverly was a volunteer member of the Chevra Kadisha, who performed the ritual of Tahara, preparing the body of the deceased in accordance with our ritual and traditions. This is a favor that the deceased cannot return, making it a great mitzvah. Today, by being here and, if able, accompanying Beverly to her final resting place, we are able to perform that mitzvah and honor Beverly Nord in the same way she has honored many before. Thank you.
I would like to invite now Louise Raber, representing Charizedek Sisterhood, to share her memories.
Thank you, Rabbi. I'm here today to honor Beverly on behalf of Sharet Zedek Sisterhood. We are all in shock over her sudden, tragic passing and will miss her terribly. We all feel a void today and will miss your stories about your precious dogs. Beverly joined Sisterhood many years ago, and like everything Beverly did in life, she joined to participate. She sat on the Sisterhood board for several years before becoming president in 2002, and then remained an active member of the board, acting most recently as our recording secretary. She attended many Women's League regional conferences and was a great roommate to me on more than one occasion. She participated in so many programs and was most proud to chant Torah at our annual Sisterhood Shabbat. The Sisterhood Book Club was started by Beverly because she was a voracious reader. Beverly never said no and would usually volunteer for a sisterhood event before even being asked. She was always the first to volunteer for the Hanukkah parties and the Purim parties. I recall her agreeing to be interviewed on CTV for Hanukkah. She was so proud to be interviewed with her granddaughter, Kerdwin. Beverly devoted many hours over the past 10 years as a volunteer with Harriet Lyons and Carol Levi in the sisterhood weaving classes. Harriet said Beverly showed patience and perseverance with beginning weavers who appreciated her time and attention during the classes. As part of Beverly's commitment to the Jewish community, she volunteered for many years at the Chesed Shalemis, performing the mitzvot of Tahara, the preparation of the body for burial, and Shmirah, the sitting with the body until it was time to transfer it to the hearse. It takes a special person to do those tasks, and Beverly was indeed a special person. Beverly, on a personal note, I will remember you as a dedicated and professional nurse and colleague since we met in 1989. Your years of devoted service to your patients at the Victorian Order of Nurses, to the respiratory home care clients at the Health Science Center, and your retirement casual position as a community case coordinator for the WRJ in St. James. Beverly was the steadfast presence of sisterhood on the Bima for bar and bat mitzvahs. Alice Wiseman reminded me of how the gift presentations to the young men and women were initially challenging for Beverly because she was shy by nature. But with experience, she did an awesome job. She always included a personal comment about the bar or bat, gleaned from their participation during the service. Beverly always finished by saying, I always like to say that the Kiddush cup and candlesticks are portable. So in your travels, in the great life you're going to have, you can toss them in your backpack and you're good to go. Safe travels, Beverly.
Thank you, Luis. I'd like to invite now Jackie Cuthbert, dear friend.
When people come down off the bima, we congratulate them and say Yasher Koach. I was taught this means to go from strength to strength. When I think of Beverly Nord, that is how I see her. She moved through her world relying on one strength of character, then another, to navigate through her life. As a young woman, she found herself as a single parent to 5 children. That alone, you would think, might take all her strength. But at the same time, she found a way to work and to train as a nurse in order to provide a better life for her children. It was no small feat that Beverly, a woman in her 30s at the time, had the strength to follow her heart. She listened to that still, small, whispering inner voice that told her she needed to live her life as a Jew. It was her feisty, sheer willpower that provided the determination she needed to learn to read Hebrew, memorize the tropes, and read the Torah in front of the entire congregation, in spite of her nervousness and difficulties memorizing her portion. During the years when she was caring for her aging and ill parents, when they would take out their anger and frustration on her, she had the courage and the strength to forgive them and to care for them, trying to make the best decisions for each of them at each stage of their transition into the next world. Little Beverly was not just strong of spirit, but she was also physically strong. On our very first get-together, she came over to my house and climbed up and down a ladder all afternoon, chatting all the way, as she taught me how to wallpaper the kitchen in the house I had just bought. She also miraculously always had the strength to look after 4 dogs at the same time. 3 of her own, and sometimes Diesel, and sometimes mine, Chani. She never seemed to tire of their noises, mass, trips to the backyard, and demands for fetchy, huggies, kisses, or snuggles on her bed. One time, she wasn't feeling good, and I went over late in the evening. We got all 4 dogs and ourselves to lie on her bed to watch TV. It was no surprise that she perked up and was actually delighted, in spite of having to settle a few dog fights. I never realized how strong she was until she had her cancer surgery. Come November, Beverly always had a ritual where she would stand for hours, for days on end, to make huge batches of latkes, pierogies, and cabbage rolls for a huge Hanukkah party held on Christmas Eve. When we chatted on the phone around this time, I would get the running totals of how much she had made each day. The year she found out her surgery was going to be just a couple of days before her usual dinner party, she refused to cancel it and let anyone down. She prepared all the food ahead of time, set the table, and went over a careful plan as to how her guests would arrive early and follow her directions and stir and lift everything for her and get the fabulous meal on the table. Beverly not only had the strength to handle her own life, but she also had the strength to carry us when we thought we couldn't handle ours. Over our 25-year friendship, she helped me navigate through killer flus, panic attacks, a dying dog, loneliness, grief, and in the last years, even though she wasn't feeling great, she always made time to coach me through the countless medical decisions I had to make on behalf of my aging parents. She was strong enough to be a confidant to a few of us, and a volunteer for many. She was strong enough to work until she was 73. She was strong enough to work at the Hesed Shalemus and to speak her mind. She was strong enough to be mad or disappointed at us and still love us. She was strong enough to make a mistake and to apologize. So where did this strength come from? I believe it came from her relationships. Her relationship to God and her strong belief in Tikkun Olam. That we are here to repair the world, to make it a better place. She would scold me when I would tease her over some caring act she had just done and say, "Beverly, you're going to get brownie points in heaven for that one." Just last week, she reminded me not to say that. She made a point to remind me that it was important to do what you can do and to do it right. That it was a mitzvah to be done with it was a mitzvah never to be done with even a thought of payback. I also think her strength came from her relationship to family. You see, every week in our phone calls, conversations, always included her news and her reflections about her children and her grandchildren. She was bursting with pride for Kelly over his new house and his campaign work. His poster, I noticed, is still on the fridge. She talked about his drive and his effort in life, and she was so glad he had found a wonderful woman like you, Jocelyn, to be at his side. And she so respected you both, the way you were parenting your sweet boys. Connor and Harrison, she loved your bear hugs and your appetites. Your pleasure at her meals brought her so much pleasure. Wesley, she told me many times about the wonderful friends that you attract into your life and the challenging jobs you handle so well. And last week in our phone call, she said she was looking forward to making a call to you and enjoying your wicked sense of humor. Carla, in that same phone call, she told me she was looking forward to having coffee with you. And she always mentioned what a wonderful job you and Len did parenting Michaela. Michaela, she was so proud of the young woman you became, your dignity and grace. And she was so glad you were doing well at university. Eric, she always talked about your artwork, how hardworking you are with several jobs at one time. She always felt she could count on you to help her. She was happy you had a wonderful partner like Ada, and she frequently spoke of Ada's art and renovation skills and love of dogs. Kirsten, she saw herself in you. When you were a single parent working and going to school to become a social worker, she knew how hard that was. And she recognized how you did it anyway for the sake of improving the life of your family. She also recognized your strength to navigate through whatever life threw at you, including her eventual passing. It gave her comfort to know you found a person like Michael, who so obviously opened his heart to you and Caradwin. And Caradwin, she was always amazed by your accomplishments and the depth of your thinking. In our last phone call, she shared how well you had done once again on your report card. You all brought her much nachas and pride. And finally, I know her relationships within the Jewish life most obviously provided her with strength and courage. She found a community of friends who respected her, included her, looked out for her, and had fun with her. She found strength and comfort and joy in the rituals. She found courage to improve herself in the teachings, and she found hope in the prayers. I know in my heart she's expecting us to find our courage and make peace with her sudden passing, and to move forward and do good in the world. Beverly, we are blessed to have been touched by your life and your love. I will love you for all of our lifetimes. And you know I'll be watching for you in my meditations and dreams and readings. For the last time, I say to you, as your presence comes down off this bima, Yasher Koach, carry your strength, dear one, from this lifetime into your next.
I would like to invite now to come forward to Kirsten and Kerit Wen, please.
Thank you, Jackie. Mom endured so much in her life. Her early years as a young mother were in Northern Ontario. My mother had 5 children and was one of the most resilient people that I knew. She never quit or gave up just because it was not the thing to do. Mom was a nurturing person. She reached out to so many people in so many ways. She always paid attention to detail and always noticed where there was a need that she could fill. Bubby loved pets and animals, and she took in strays. She had many pet dogs, many cats. She fed the birds, the squirrels, and she always said, "We're not talking about the rabbits." Beverly had a strong moral code and was firmly set in her beliefs. Sometimes she was stubborn, but her faith in doing the right thing and her love for God was unwavering. Mom found solace in the synagogue. This became her anchor and where she was nurtured in return. She found her Jewish family here. This is the place where she did so much healing, and she grew so much, both emotionally and spiritually. Mom, you are loved and you are missed.
Okay. I was going to write a speech for this, but I felt like it'd be better to talk from the heart. I remember when I was really little, I would always sleep over every weekend, and then on Saturday, she'd always take me here to the synagogue. Before we came, even though you're not technically allowed food in here, she would always cut up cheese cubes and she'd always cut up cheese slices and cut them into little cubes for me. And she'd always make sure to pack some toys and stuffies so I wouldn't get bored or hungry while at service. She always looked out for everyone. For my bar mitzvah, she made me my talit and kippah. She wove it from hand. I know she'd be very happy to see everyone here. I remember, too, there was this park that we used to go to when I was little. She'd always take me there, and we'd always walk there with her dogs.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing those beautiful memories with us. Beverly also loved music, all kind of music, from opera to Barbra Streisand to cantorial music. But one of her favorite Jewish tunes was a song we sing every Shabbat to receive the Sabbath angels. Today, as a tribute to Beverly, I would like to sing that song, the Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Yasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moachem Shalom, Malachei, Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Please rise for the El Maleh Rachamim prayer. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochem Bameroimim, Ametze Menucha Nechona, תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים, קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע המזהירים. את נשמת בת שבע בת אברהם ושרה שעליך לעולמה, בעבור שאנו מתפללים ועד הצקרת נשמתה בגן עדן, בגן עדן תהי מנוחה לכם ולרחמים, אחס תדעיה וסדר כנף לעולמים. וצרור בצרור החיים, החיים את נשמתה, אדוני ונחלתה, ותנוח ושלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Beverly Nord, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. You may be seated. In a few minutes, we're going to proceed in caravan fashion to the Shari Zedek Cemetery, located in the corner of Armstrong and Main Street. If you are coming with us to the cemetery, please remember to turn on your four-way flashers, and please stop at all stop signs and red lights. Immediately after burial, we are going to have the meal of consolations back here at the Shari Zedek. Shiva will be observed today, tomorrow, and Thursday at 7 p.m. at 720 Cordova. Again, today, tomorrow, and Thursday at 7 p.m., 720 Cordova, and on Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. The services will be chanted tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday night at 7:30. Again, 720 Cordova. Now, to proceed to the next stage, I would like to invite the pallbearers to exit the chapel and to assume their places alongside the coffin. And in accordance to Shari Zedek tradition, the family exits now, and we invite you to proceed directly into your transportations. As for the rest of us, the tradition is once the back door gets open, that's going to happen in a few minutes, we exit the building and we form two lines outside the building through which Beverly could find her way into the hearse. We still have a couple of minutes to wait. That's our sign. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all who are watching online, on YouTube, or listening on TuneIn Radio. Thank you.